Creation, the Flat Earth Psyop, and the War on the Spirit, Part 4. So, this is another aspect of it. You got the red and the blue. So, the red is supposed to represent the blood. The blue is the righteousness. And these are like two of the gifts which is given to you in a way. Now, this righteousness, this is something you see that comes through Christians, especially like a lot of these pastors, like the demonic pastors, all these kind of things, like the ones which look possessed and all these kind of things. It's like that. It's that righteousness that like it overcomes them, and this seems to like it's like they don't look themselves in their eyes. It's like. It's like something else is taking over them in a way. And it's going to like that level of righteousness because it's like the Christ righteousness in this sense. You know what I mean? But it's like it's so like I've got authority to commit sin over you, like murder and all these kind of things. And like in terms of like the witch hunts and all these kind of stuff, it's like that kind of righteousness. It's really scary, you know what I mean? And it's something which I've seen it a lot in terms of like, with Christians, and so I don't want to label all Christians bad in that kind of sense either. It's kind of like it's like falling victim to the lie, basically. You know what I mean? And if you go too far with it, you're going to cut that separation to spirit off, like like the silver cord and such. You see, it's like when you're looking in the past, Christians were given two choices. Do they believe or not? And it's like, well, I won't want to be a non-believer. You know what I mean? It's like you give the choice of the two. You know what I mean? You know what you're going to choose. But this is just the same as media. The news and all these kind of things. It's like the same method. It's like they've given you two choices, but you don't realise they're both the bad choice, and they didn't really present the alternative. You know what I mean? In fact, we told you that all the alternatives are all satanic or demonic, you know what I mean? And that kind of thing. And it's like all of them, every single culture, you know what I mean, in the entire world, everybody, right? All those different cultures, with all those different perspectives and understandings of spirituality, which we can learn from each other, and it shunned them completely, So then, you're afraid to look at those other options. It's kind of like, even to speak against Jesus and stuff like it's, it's kind of like, you daren't do it because otherwise everyone's going to think that you're a Jesus hater and all these kind of things. And it's like, well, I suppose now it's a little bit different because it's like, I've taken a bit of a different perspective, and it's like seeing it in this way. I mean, originally I was going to do the next episodes. They've been planned for a while, which are kind of like related to this and such. But like the vampire stuff, that kind of like that's like since Christmas. I decided to take a break and like look at different novels and all these kind of things and stuff. And I've got like loads of novels, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I wanted something a little bit different, a bit of a change. And I've not really got much horror and stuff like. Warhammer do some horror and stuff like, but I wanted something more classical as well in a way, So like looking at like werewolves, vampires, all that kind of genre, you know what I mean? I was kind of open to it all and stuff like, but I kind of thought vampires are more horror-like, but then there's all these like all these modern romance vampire kind of teenage era kind of reader material and stuff. And it's like, I don't really fancy that. I wanted something more authentic and real and all that kind of thing, like. So I kind of had a look at like Anne Rice's books and all that kind of stuff, like, the devil there and all that kind of stuff, like I showed you in previous episode. And it kind of like the penny started to drop and all that kind of stuff. So, um, yeah, seeing it from this perspective, I feel like it's definitely an important thing to contribute to the movement. Everything needs to be up for question in terms of the truth movement and such. And I kind of think this one, especially like what the Rapture's saying, and like all these end time things and what's going to happen, and it's like that does not look like the spirit that I believed in, and I don't want people to make a commitment to such a thing, such a being, if he's gonna take you to that. Because that is that is like the bad stuff, like the evil. So I see it as it's the same religion, it's the devil's religion. So he presented himself as an angel, and then he had these two gifts, the blood and the righteousness, and you see that righteousness. So then also like comparing it to like politics, so you get the red and blue, left and right wing, and all these kind of things, and try and spot the nature. Is that more of a vampiric, and that's more of like the machine race, all that kind of aspect of things. Trust. There's a lot of people that ask you to trust them, and then they end up ripping you off, all that kind of things. I promise, you know what I mean. Jesus' blood and Jesus' righteousness. So that's like just referencing the words, guiding lost souls onto the righteous path, blood of the Lamb. Proof end times is here. We are not ignorant of the end times. Lost money, disobedient children, all that kind of stuff. It's the heart in the centre which is more concerning. The red and the blue, love grown cold. So, and if we're thinking about like the heart of the devil, we're seeing that, because that's what's on the previous picture. We're seeing that red and that blue. And that righteousness, like I say, it's like it takes over them. That's your typical colours. So you can see, like all the flags and politics and all that kind of thing. And so, like a mural of JFK Airport, how New World Order like it is. So in terms of like the relationship between the Bible and the government, it's, we know what the government's trying to do. They're trying to create this beast system, and we're going to be in a very difficult place. We can watch everything you do, and but it's going to like it's on like times 100. It's going to be like it's quite scary. In terms of like what could come out of that. And I don't want it to go that way. So that's why we're doing this, isn't it? You see, cutting the piece, dove, all that kind of stuff. Amun-Ra, Amen, means Lucifer. He ended your prayers with my name. So like the relationship between Jesus and Lucifer and all that kind of stuff. Jesuits versus Freemasons. They seem to be the same thing. Yeah, it's a bit blurry and stuff like that. Like the Freemason with Bible I mean, we showed those pictures on previous one, didn't we? And it's, it's showing you there kind of thing, like, that, they're aligned with that Bible. And like I say, I'm making the claim that that Bible it's like the devil's work. You know what I mean? It's the master of lies and all that. All the gossip spells, etc. History of Freemasonry. So, existed since, I'll start from top here. Freemasonry, 2 words, has existed for many centuries, but Freemasonry, 1 word, has only existed since 1717, for which the United Grand Lodge of England, UGL, was created the same year. The Order of the Temple Knights Templar was built with Masonic doctrine, and it created Freemasonry in 1717 as a public club to recruit and groom prospective minions of the Empire into Masonic doctrine. It did so partly via Rosecrux, involved in creating Ogle United Grand Lodge of England, and Jesuit order, which wrote the Constitution for degrees, which is why Order of the Temple is the highest degree in most Masonic systems. But yeah, so like the Templar Knights' relationship with the Freemasons, it's like, if they made Freemasonry, in 1717, then it's the same thing, And then also, on this, right at the top is the cross. And so like your degrees of Freemasonry, it says. And so that seems to be like the top thing, above everything else. So it's like their God is the same one as the Bible. And, it says that the devil is the God of this world. And then he don't turn up until end, and then he claims this world. Like I said, there's that play on words. So you got your Knights Templar, you got your play on words with the, the word God and all that kind of thing. They can call it their God. So you got your Skull and Bones as well. So also in reference to like cannibalism, like with the bones and all that kind of stuff, like. So like, what are they? Like the vampire, Nephilim, etc. Baphomet from Knights Templar. So proving that Knights Templar has got that relationship with them, and it included it on that picture on previous one as well. 700 BC is also an interesting thing. I've been like researching ancient battles and all that kind of stuff, like, and it's like 480 in the books I've got, and they're like, decisive battles and all that kind of stuff. So 480 BC were earliest in that book. I imagine there were more, but it's gonna, like, over the years there's like an increase, that exponential kind of increase of like, how many more wars there are, and it's like getting worse and such. And so a creepy statue of Baphomet with children there, and so there's a lot of child sacrifices and all those kind of things. The seal of the Jesuits, the cult of the Black Sun. So, like we spoke in a previous episode about like the ghosts of the light in their eyes, and so it's like, whilst they're in the afterlife, their eyes shine, but the sun will probably be black from their perspective. So from our perspective, because we're alive, we see it as bright, and in turn, our pupils are black. So it's like that reversed effect, And so for this, the cult of the Black Sun, right? That's for the undead people. Where you've got Christianity, is for those which are living, which are designed to become the sheep, and we just follow the doctrine, follow the propaganda, and all that kind of stuff, and then eventually even push the narrative of the end of the world until it actually happens, until this God returns or arrives, whichever. and fulfills that prophecy. But I think that we don't need that. You see, this is another aspect. NASA blood moon discovery suggested for Friday, 13th of April. So NASA, it fits with it, you know, and we've got that relationship with NASA, Disney, and the media. You know, I mean, the devil behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. And this is not only, you know, it's not the first time. There's like there's other NASA relations which, like, you know, it kind of like backs up the Bible. Amen at top. So, you know, like, amen. That I don't make things simple. You know, like, if that means Lucifer, then, you know, that's a big red. You know, I mean, it's been pointed out before as well. I've heard that before in Truth Movement. Blood moon, how it looks like the black sun. Jesus, after his resurrection, he came out of the cave, but again, how it looks like the black sun with the sunlight coming outside. So, like one of the wallpapers, adrenochrome conspiracy, Nazi heritage, global elite, all that kind of thing. And that looks like quite an old book. Bible validated. Again, like the media is doing this all the time, but also it's the government which are creating these events. So who's behind the government? The devil, all right? So it's the devil which is proving the Bible right. Oh, cannibalism in celebrities. Oh, breaking, Jesus died at 33. So, you know, if that come on news, you know, if we ever see 33 on news, we generally say that, oh, we know it's a lie, you know? So, I mean, look at it. it's not the most attractive thing, you know? Oh, another one. And so it's saying it's describing what kind of meat it is and how much is eaten and all that kind of stuff. Adrenochrome, an immortality serum obtained from the adrenal gland of living children after they have been terrorized to get the highest levels of adrenaline. It has LSD-like qualities and is used in satanic rituals and monarchies, politicians, congressmen, celebrities, CEOs, and the elite. And there were also a lot of tests done to see the relationship between adrenochrome and schizophrenia, which I've got that off Google. So, like that video of schizophrenia yesterday, like the relationship of like possession. So, you know, all these kind of things. There's so many, actually. You see, like, ask Jesus to come and live in your heart, then give yourself to him to live in his heart. Pray. Give yourself. Ask him to come into your heart and then give yourself to him. You put this in the narrative of like selling your soul, because that's how it seems, you know. I know my transgressions, create in me a clean heart because of all the sins. I don't, my heart don't feel dirty. It don't feel sinned. It's not done anything wrong, you know. Even if I had, it's still be an aspect of, I'll deal with it with spirit. I'll accept my karma. It's whatever the spirit decides in that kind of way. I'm not going to run away from it like Jesus is offering. Invite Jesus into your heart, and it shall come to pass that whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Saved. Saved from death, so you can have immortal life as the undead. So that's why he wants you to pray to him wholeheartedly. It's very important, you know. It's been repeated a lot. There's like a lot of memes and stuff that repeat that word. And many of these words. Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord. Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbour as thyself. You see, like the first and great commandment, it's all about your heart and soul, but it's not specifically bad, is that? Generally, it's worded in a way which kind of makes it a bit more alarming, you know what I mean? Because, like, you know, to give, you know what I mean, and all these kind of things, it's a bit different. And so another thing about, like, I remember when Stephen Greer did that thing where he got these lights to appear. We're like on a sand dune looking over the ocean, with some landing distance, and he was in front of everybody, telling everybody that not to use laser pens because that'll scare them away, UFOs and such. But he were using one and he were pointing that direction with it. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, how come he can use it but nobody else? But besides the point, it was telling everybody to open the heart chakras to these lights which appeared on the horizon. It looked like three suns, small suns, but big orbs, you know what I mean, if you're going to call them orbs. In distance and stuff. So yeah, it's telling everybody to open your heart to him. And I was saying to everybody, you know, at the time and stuff like don't do that. You open your heart naturally when you're in the company of your friends, people you trust, people that have earned that trust, you know. And the same goes for any of these beings. Like, you know, if there's they're telling you to open your heart to these entities and stuff, that kind of thing. No, no, no. I don't think so. But in terms of mind, body, and spirit, they're wanting to step into this, which is, you know, it's a bit alarming, but it's the first commandment. And the second one is like, love thy neighbour and such. Thy neighbour, in terms of all this, because say when you're in his heaven, then your neighbours at the rest of them are the undead. And like, you know, you see the undead army, they're not attacking each other. They're going out to attack whatever, you know, whatever is supposed to be. Only the Holy Spirit is permitted to be in your house. Any other spirit must leave. And again, like the word holy, it's a bit of an issue. And like, you know, remove the word holy and you respect spirit with the word spirit. It's kind of like, it's not putting that hierarchy. But at the same time, you respect its spirit. You know what I mean? It's like there's many gods, but spirit is just spirit. So, I don't know. I'm not quite sure I understand this one. So, I mean, in general, yeah, but, you know, in the bigger scheme, salvation does not come by inviting Jesus into our desperately wicked hearts. And why are they wicked? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? You know? And it's kind of like, really? So, you know, I thought it were all about love and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know, that's what the foundation of the heart is. That's where it's happiest. Like the heart can get angry and worked up when things are bad, you know, and it, you know, that kind of thing. I will give you a new heart. So this is a different thing and all, you know. What happens to my old heart? I don't quite want to, like, you know, just chuck it away. I've still got loads to show, so it's going to be another episode. I thought I'd be done by now. And it were only intended to be one episode in the first place, but here we are. So yeah, Nike, they've got some new trainers. You got the guy with a yellow iris. He's got the slit pupil. So the yellow, like the vampires, who just fed apparently, and then the slit pupil, like the Nephilim, all those kind of things and stuff like. And so you got the new trainer, along with satanic details such as inverted crosses, pentagrams, the sixes, and references to Luke. Are the hype beast trainers. So Luke, referencing Bible when it's all about the devil. So, one eye situation going off there as well. And then you got this. So I could have just shared the picture, but on its own, you can't really tell. But it is like, lost in translation. For my flesh is real food and my blood is real drink. And that's the picture. And it's like, that's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting. It's like even the water out of tap's pink due to colour. And his stomach's got it on it as well. That's like, it's just foul. Oops. I'm showing it next episode. So yeah, I think I've got enough done. I'll put it on a better picture. That'll do. It's difficult to find a non-offensive picture. We're all quite gruesome, but but yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll get on with the next one. Nice one. Cheers.